Hello friends, it's Carolee from Carolie's Crafty Cottage, and I am making this recording and I'm going to post it up so that y'all who purchased the 3-pack, you got the Bucket of Flakes, this Winter Wonderland, and then the birds and trees cut out, we'll have a painting tutorial for it. So I am here. I am going to paint the Winter Wonderland first. And in this video, and then I'll probably stop the recording and get set up for painting the trees after that. So I'm excited to be here doing something I love, and hopefully you will come to love it as well. Okay, so this is the piece we're gonna do, and I'm gonna just kind of slide it up a little bit, and I'm gonna put down some painter's tape because I'm gonna do some sponge painting as well as painting with my brush. So the stuff that I'm gonna sponge paint, I like to tape down so it stays put for the most part, okay? And I think I'll start out with the white pieces, and that would be our snowflakes, and of course our little snowman, okay? And our little snowdrift here, okay? Snowman down. I'm gonna move the base out of the way right now and grab our super cute little snowdrift, okay? So this is what we're gonna be doing with white, and we're gonna use our makeup sponges to paint these. Out of my way for a sec. Okay, so I need to get some white paint. Those of you who have watched me paint before know I like to use the DecoArt Americana acrylic paint, but you are welcome and free to use whatever you have in your craft stash. Oh dear, my cats are knocking things off the table. But feel free to use whatever paint you have and you like. This is just my favorite. Hi Lena, you cannot come over here. You have to stay where you're at. My troublemaker cat is very curious. Okay, so I'll move this over into where the camera can see. So I have my puddle of paint, and I'm just gonna take my sponge, and it's kind of got too much paint on there. It's gloopy, and I don't want gloopy. Okay, so I'm just gonna pounce it out until the sponge isn't gloopy with paint again anymore. Okay, and then I just start by pouncing with the sponge on the things that need to be painted white, okay? And this usually takes a couple of coats, but that's all, and it goes pretty fast. So here we go with my little snowdrift. Okay, and I'm gonna grab a little more paint and pounce it out and start on my snowman. And I like to start away from the etched lines on the snowman, just in case I have a little more paint than I'd want. But now I can just pounce over here, and those etched lines still show even with the paint. As long as you don't have the paint that's so thick that it's gonna sink down in those etched lines. Okay? So here we go. There we go. So those are good for a first coat. Now, I am going to take my milk chocolate, and I am going to paint the bottom of the snow globe with kind of a watered down milk chocolate. Hi, honey. My honey just got home from work. Okay, so this is the DecoArt Americana milk chocolate. And like I said, I'm gonna get it a little washy. I'm not gonna use full strength paint, okay? So I'll show you how that goes. Set my little white sponge aside for a second. Okay, so I have my little puddle of paint, and gonna grab me a base coat brush and get it wet, and then dab it out on my paper towel. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna put a little bit more water back in my brush, and I'm just gonna pull out some of that paint. Okay, see how it's like washy? It's not thick paint anymore. Okay, and I'm gonna get a little bit more water because I would rather do multiple coats than to overdo it on my first coat. Get it darker than I want. Okay, to test, I'm gonna do it on the back, on this part that is gonna get covered mostly by the Winter Wonderland. So this is where I will test my washiness. And yeah, that's good. That's about what I want. Okay, and I'm gonna want the wood grain to show through on this because this is a wood sign. The base is, I want it to look like wood. And don't worry about getting up here in the circle because that's gonna get covered by our snowdrift when we glue that on. Go back and get a little more washi paint and come back up here. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that as it is. Now I'm gonna grab the Winter Wonderland part and do the same thing. And just pull out some of that watery paint and just put that on there. Now it's not super wet because it would get all in those etched lines and kind of obscure them, and I don't want that, okay? But there is enough in there that I can put that paint on the wood and get a nice little coverage. As I said, this is a wood sign, so I don't mind at all that the wood shows through. Okay. All right, so there's our Winter Wonderland painted. And I'm gonna let this dry because I wanna see. As washes dry, they lighten up. They're not as dark as when you put them on. So I'm gonna let these dry and we'll see what hue I have there. And if it's too light, I'll put another washy coat on. And if it's all good, then yay, we're done with that. I'm gonna come back to my white pieces and do the second coat. And I'll go back to my sponge for these because I'm gonna use full strength paint, not watered down at all, okay? And make sure that this works. All right, there we go. Okay, and go ahead and do my little snowman. And like I said, those etched lines still show as long as you don't use too much or your paint isn't too thick, gloopy. That's the technical term, gloopy. All right, so those white pieces are good. And I am going to take up my tape and move them out of the way and put down another piece of tape, and we will continue on with our little friends here. Okay, there it is. Okay, got this going. Get my tape down. And okay, I'm going to, my fingers don't want to work today. I actually fell just a little bit ago. Thankfully, I mostly fell on a love seat that was soft, but my hand hit the floor, and so it's a little sore. I'm going to paint my cardinal red and my scarf red. Of course, I'm going to paint my little nose orange, and I'm going to put these trees on here. And then the buttons. Okay. And we're gonna sponge these things. Okay. So I'm gonna start with the red. And I am going to use Santa Red. I love Santa Red. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that for the scarf and the cardinal body. And I'm gonna do his little cute nose in I don't know. I was gonna say marigold, but I got mustard seed sitting here, so I'll just use mustard seed. Okay, got a dab of my Santa red, and out of the way. Get a little sponge, so one that I've used a lot and cut off because these are littler spaces. I'm gonna go ahead and same technique, dip in and then pounce off the excess. Come over here and put that first coat down. Now red can be transparent or more transparent than other colors. So sometimes, especially if the grade of paint is not very high, the quality, you will have to do many coats to cover with red. You can undercoat, which means paint another color, green, particularly, and that will help. And then paint red, that will help with the coverage. But if you're using a good quality paint, like the Deco Art Americana, it should be good in like 2 coats, okay? All right, so I'm going to use spiced pumpkin for my little carrot nose. You can use any orange you have. I could have grabbed pumpkin, I could have grabbed canyon orange or warm sunset, really doesn't matter. Carrots come in different orangey hues, so whatever you got hanging around will do. Again, I'm gonna look for a sponge that I've used and cut up. So this is a little one to get in there and just do my little carrot. I want those etched lines to come through. So I'm just going to lightly pounce and we've got our carrot all done. All right, now the trees. So the trees are going to be green and then brown. So I'm gonna do the green because the brown will cover the green. And I'm gonna paint these trees. Dun, dun, dun. Don't know. I'm kind of somewhere stuck between Hauser green or mistletoe. Mistletoe's a little bright. Hauser green for me is a little dark, a little flat. So maybe I will do a little mixy mix and see what I get. So I'm gonna put a little mistletoe down and see how that goes. I'll start with the mistletoe and pounce that on. And if I'm good with it, then I'm gonna leave it. But if I think it's too bright, then I will come in with the Hauser and add a little Hauser, okay? So there's that. It's not bad because I am going to splatter this and I am going to highlight with some white so the trees look like they've been snowed on. Okay, so let's get this little one done. Like I said, I got a little bit of green down there. Actually, I'm just gonna put the whole green on there and then cover it with the brown with a brush. Okay. Okay, voila. Okay, last but not least are the buttons. The buttons are painted with lamp black. All right, and I will pounce those as I have done the others. Okay, down a little sponge. And if you're interested, I can post a link to where I get these sponges off of Amazon. So let me know in the comments and just type link if you'd like the link for the sponges. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in here and do this tree again. Put its second coat on. And those are good. Okay, gonna take my orange, my spiced pumpkin color, and lightly tap that on there, and then the red. Got my cardinal done. Well, at least his body painted. Okay, next I am going to grab, I think I'm gonna grab some of the raw umber, which is a pretty dark brown, and mix it with a little bit of the milk chocolate for my tree trunks. Because the milk chocolate is a little light, and I think the burnt umber is a little dark. So if we get a little mix, just do a brush mix. I just get a little bit of each and mix it on my brush. And I'll come down here and paint it with the brown. Okay, grab a little bit more of that, a little bit more of that milk chocolate, and put some down on here. All right. Okay, and I'll let those dry. I don't need to do another coat on my buttons. That black really covers well, so I'm not worried about it. I'll rinse my brush out, because we are now going to paint the snow globe, the background. I'm going to paint that a blue, a pretty shade of blue. I was going to go with winter blue, but it's a little gray. It's more gray than blue, at least to my eyes. We all see color a little bit differently. So I think I'm gonna go with Blue Haven, which it also has gray, but it's got more blue in it than that winter blue. All right, so Blue Haven is what I grabbed and have out here. And I am going to use my brush for this. Get that on there. If you've watched me paint before, you know that first coat takes a little bit of doing because the paint is sinking into the wood grain. So my wood grain is going this way, so I need to move my brush that way to get that paint in there. And that's just a wintry blue color. Even though I'm using Blue Haven, it's a little light. I may, for the next coat, add just a drop of a darker blue and give it more of a winter sky that's going into nighttime. So it'll be a little bit darker. And just work that paint in there. And that next coat will go on a lot smoother, a lot faster too. I'm just coming down into this brown. I'm not worried about it again because we have other pieces that are going to cover it. Okay, so I don't have to be so precise. Stay in the lines. Nah. We're craft painting here. Okay. All right. So there we go. That's my blue. And I do think I'm going to add a little bit of, this is Provence Sky. And I think I'm gonna put a drop or so in here, a couple drops maybe. Let me shake it. Make sure it's all mixed up well. And I'm just gonna pop that on my palette right there next to that Blue Haven. Get a little bit more of that down here too. All right. And again, I'm just gonna brush mix. Pull some of it out and just mix it on my palette. Okay, so it's just mixed. I didn't even clean my brush out with the, that had just the Blue Haven. I'm just putting in a little bit of a mix. Okay, that's a little bit, that's more where I want my blue to be, right there. Okay, so gonna go back in, grab some more, put that on there. And I wasn't worried if my Blue Haven was dry or not because I'm mixing in the two colors. And it can just mix with the base that's down there. Okay. Here we go. Just brightens it up a little bit. A little bit. And it makes me happy. I hope crafting and creating makes you happy too. Don't take it too seriously. Enjoy it. Have fun. Okay? So there's my blue. I like it a lot. Now I'm happy with where this dried from my brown, my Winter Wonderland. So I'm not gonna mess with that anymore. I'm good. Gonna rinse my brush out, and I do need to work on my trunks for my trees. So, rinse my brush out. I'm gonna go in and grab some of that raw umber. And I'm actually gonna pull this off the tape now because I'm using a brush for this part. And there we go, darken up that trunk. Okay, so there's that. And then you get my little baby tree over here. Do the same thing. I'm just grabbing some of that raw umber and not using the milk chocolate, but the raw umber. And there's my little baby tree trunk. Okay, that is good. I am a happy camper with that. Hey, all right, so I'm gonna clean that brush out, set it aside for now, and let this finish drying. Actually, I'm gonna grab my handy dandy heated craft tool and get this part dry. Because I want to start gluing. Oh, you know what? I gotta paint my base too. I'll get to that in just a sec. You can use a blow dryer if you don't have a heat tool. Those work. Just turn it up to high. Keep it moving so you don't crack the paint. Okay. All right, good, good, good. There's that. I'm gonna leave it here. And I'm gonna paint this, move my trees. Gonna paint the top of my base. And I'm gonna paint this black. I've already got some black out on my palette. So I'm just gonna grab that sponge and put that black down on the base. All right, here we go. Oh, almost missed that corner over there. Okay, cool. Gonna let that dry. There we go. Done, done, done. All right, so we're good here. One of the things I'm gonna do is on this blue part, I am going to shade, and I'm gonna shade with a darker blue. I'm gonna shade with Midnight Blue. And it's a nice dark blue. And I'm just gonna shade all the way around. I did not shake it well enough. Because I did not get enough paint. Okay, there we go. All right, that's better. That is paint. Okay, and I'm gonna take a brush. I am going to use a 5/8 Princeton Angular Shader. It's a brush that I like. I like these Princeton brushes. Okay, so if you have not seen how to float, we're gonna float a shade. So, I should put this up here. Okay, you get your brush wet. Okay, this brush is wet. It's like drippy wet, okay? And there's a sheen on there. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it has a sheen. And what you're gonna do is just set the tip down until enough water comes out that it no longer has that wet sheen look. Okay, so now I've done that. I'm going to put my pointy tip into my color, my paint, and then I'm just going to work it into my brush, okay? So that you've got darker going to lighter in the hue. Okay, and I'm gonna start over here and bring that right around my snow globe. Okay, I'm going to reload. And I like to come back in there and then start bringing it around again and come in here and just smoothing that out as I float around the edge of my snow globe. Okay, had to pick up some more color and some more water to keep it moving. Okay, so that gives me my shade all the way around my snow globe. Now, I can grab a mop brush and kind of tap up smooth out anything that I need to, or I think I need to, and just smooth out that float all the way around and mop up any extra water. Okay. Okay. Voila. Done. Done with that. Ooh. All right, so the next thing I am going to do is place my Winter Wonderland. Actually, I need to put my snowdrift here and bring it all the way down. Okay. And I'm seeing that I got a little bit of blue there, and I don't want it there. So I'm going to look for, this is called a Cha-Cha brush. And this is a brush created by Lori Speltz. It's got this really stiff bristles over here, and they're pretty good at taking up paint that you get where you don't want it. You can kind of scrape it off, okay? So I just cleaned up that corner with it. This is a great brush. LoriSpeltz.com, and if you want a link, I'll post a link in the comments. But like I said, it does a pretty good job. Takes a little elbow grease and the cha-cha of getting up paint that you get where you don't want it. And it's got a little bit more here to work out off that corner. Okay. All right, so as I said, it's the Cha-Cha brush. It's got the really stiff bristles that are good for scraping, and then it's got a mop on this end, so you get a twofer on this brush. Okay, now back to placing my snowdrift. There we go, much better. Much better. And my Winter Wonderland is going to sit here. And when I'm looking at this, I have decided that I want to have a little bit of a blue-gray around it, just to emphasize the edges of my snowdrift. So I've got my blue down, right? I've got a couple of blues. I've got Blue Haven and Provence Sky. And so now I'm adding a little slate gray on my palette over by those blues. And I am going to get my brush wet, take out the water. Okay, so I have 3 different blues here. And I'm gonna tip in to all of them because I want this gray. And if I need a little more blue in there, I will go get it. Tiny bit of gray. Okay, now I've got kind of a bluey gray. And I am going to shade around my little snowdrift. Okay, and that is thicker than I want it to be, so mop brush to the rescue. While it's wet, pick it right up. A little bit more water in my brush than I wanted. All right, here we go. I'll just put this around here. And I like that it's blue. Gray on snow sometimes make me think the snow is dirty, but blue just makes me think the snow is cold. Okay, so there we go. That is done. Mop brush out of the way. Oh, by the way, this is a Lowell Cornell 1-inch Maxine's mop brush. Maxine Thomas is an amazing decorative painter like Lori Speltz, and that is a brush of her design, just like the Cha-Cha is of Lori's, and they are great, great brushes to have in your toolkit. Okay. All right, there we go. So I'm happy with that so far. I like it, I like it, I like it. So I am going to glue these down, these 2 pieces to start with. And I need to find my stick fast. This is a super glue that I like to use. It's a gel, so it's thick. I got it off of Amazon. And I like it because it's a little bit forgiving, allows you to move your stuff around a little bit before it completely dries and says, huh, I'm not going anywhere anymore. This is it, we're done. Okay. All right, there we go. And I will do the same for my sign piece. Pop this right on there. So fun. So cute. Just push those down a little bit and leave them there. All right. The next thing I need to do is dots. And if you know me, you know I like to do dots last because I don't want to get my hands stuck in the dots. But I need to do some dots here, and I don't want them to be just wherever. I do kind of want them to have a rhyme or reason. So I need to get a little fresh puddle of white. This is the Deco Art Snow White that I like to use. And so I have some nice paint to dip in and dot with. And then I am going to use one of my styluses. This is a stylus that I have. It's got kind of a nice size ball on the end, ball tip. That's good for making pretty good size dots. Okay, so I'm going to just start somewhere And I'm gonna redip after each one because I want them to be about the same size. And to start, I'm just going around the edge here. And then I will make my way into the rest of my little snow globe. All right, there we go. Okay. All right. And some of these dots are going to get covered by our cut out pieces, so don't get overly concerned about them. I just like to get a little pattern going. Otherwise, I tend to overdot. I am an overdotter. And then it just looks weird because there's too many dots. So I'm gonna throw in a dot there. If there's some spaces that look like, I could use a dot, put a dot. And like I said, a lot of it's gonna get covered anyways by our cutout pieces. All right. I'm realizing that there's one more little thing I need to paint, and that is on my beak of the cardinal. So like I said, I've got mustard seed here, but any kind of goldy or yellow color that you've got will be great. And I'm gonna grab a little brush. This is a number 4 short liner. And you use a round brush, whatever works. I'm gonna take you off here for now. Move that out of my way so I don't stick my hand in it. And I'm just gonna put on the paint its beak. That yellow color. Okay, there we go. Now that's done. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is grab my heat tool and dry these dots a bit. So they're less likely to get smudged by my hand. Okay. So that's got them mostly dry. Okay. All right, guys, the next thing I'm gonna do is get my snowman in place. And that's where I'm going to put my snowman. So I'm going to grab some glue. Notice I didn't set him down on those dots. Don't want to do that till I'm gluing him down. And grabbing him and just kind of seeing where he fits best right on that curve of the snowbank. All right, now, should have done this when I did this, but I am going to do a little float of blue on the snowman around the edges. Just to give it some definition and depth. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to keep my fingers out of the dots, and I'm going to start here and bring that down. Okay. And grab my mopping brush and cat hair. Love my cats, but they like to rub up against my brushes, and I just can't even handle all of that. All right, a little more water, a little more blue. And I am really trying to keep my hands out of those dots. Not easy. I'm just loading my brush, same way I showed you earlier. I'm just gonna take it up from here, bring it out, and around this side. All right, and probably one more load of the brush. Be able to get around his little head. And we'll be good. Holy cow, I got my brush into yellow. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I dragged it right through the yellow. Sorry, kitty. I just flung a little water at my cat. Thankfully, she likes water, so she is unfazed by that. Okay, taking the sheen out of my brush, doing the dip. Dip, 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 dip. Just lightly bring it around his head. Okay. All right. I'm okay with everything except I want to smooth a little bit here. So I just got water in my brush and I'm kind of rehydrating this paint. All right, stop playing with it, Carolee. Okay, now I need to do his eyes, and I'm gonna grab a liner brush. This is an 18-aught liner, script liner. Doesn't really matter what you use, whatever you got. A little bit more black out here because I wanna fill his eyes made out of coal. Fill those in. And they're so tiny, you're almost just setting the bristles down. And it fills it in, okay? So there he goes. Now he starts to come to life. I swear, every time, once you get the eyes on anything you're painting, it's like, now it's alive. Now it's so cute, you just can't stand it. All right, our little snow guy's looking fun. Okay, I'm gonna grab his cute little scarf. Actually, no, before I put it on here, I'm gonna do a little shading. I'm gonna grab a darker red. So I'm gonna grab this Alizarian Crimson, and I want to put a shade on here. feel the need to shade a little more. Feeling shady. Gonna get a drier paper towel since I'm gonna do more floating. And okay, get my brush wet. I'm taking out the sheen, most of the water, and then I'm gonna side load it, dip that side in there, and go from there. I'm just going to kind of darken down here where the little fringe would be. And then I want to darken here and give the look of the pieces or the scarf overlapping. So I'm putting in a little shadow here. Okay. And I'm going to bring across here, put in a little shadow. Gives a little detail. And then over here on this side. Okay. One more place that I'm going to add shading to is up here at the top, because that would technically be sitting under his head, and it would cast a little shadow down here at this top of the scarf. Okay. All right. I'm going to darken it up a little bit. So I'm just going to take the little tiniest tip of black into my crimson loaded brush. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So it still has that red tint, but it's a bit darker. Okay, so I'm going to re-go where I was and just emphasize that a bit. And right here, down here on the fringe. It's showing up a lot better now. It just wasn't quite dark enough on that Santa red. It wasn't as dark as I wanted it to be for the shadow. Okay, and then there on the end. Okay, so that shows up much more than it did with just the crimson. Okay. Pounce, little pounce. Okay. Smooth it out a little bit. All right, so our scarf is gonna get glued on now. Okay. And we're gonna just pop that on right where that head move would be on our snowman. Okay, there we go. Next, let's put that noser on. Glue the cute little nose on. Okay. He's just so stinking cute. Okay, nose is on. Yay! Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit of shading on the tail of this cardinal. Just, again, give interest. I'm going to go in that crimson color and pick up a little bit of black and then work that into my brush. Okay. And I'm just gonna, right here on the end of his tail feathers. Pretty darn cute he is. Maybe I'll put a little shade down here in his belly. There we go. I like it. I like it, I like it, I like it. Okay. Now, leave it alone, Carolee. Stop playing. It's something, a habit that you can get into. It's not a good one. That you keep playing and tweaking and playing and tweaking until you've just gone too far. And then getting back dialing it back is a little more difficult.
Okay. Marital advice?
My husband just said, "Are you giving marital advice?" No. So I'm going to put a little highlight on these buttons. So again, get my water in my brush. Clean water. Don't use the water you use to rinse out your brush. You want some clean water. And I'm going to take these here buttons, and I'm just going to highlight one of the sides if I can get it. I'm going to need tape because these buttons are going to move on me, and it's not going to go the way I want it to, and then I will be unhappy. So I'm going to just end the frustration right now. There we go. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just going to kind of bring that over there. Grab my handy dandy mop brush and just knock that back a little bit, lighten it up. Okay. And same thing with this one. Just gonna, it's almost like doing a C stroke on here. I'm gonna grab that mop. Okay, there we go. Yay. So buttons are done. Buttons are now ready to glue on. Oops, I keep putting this brush in like the biggest hole on my brush basin, and then it falls to the floor. Over and over again. Okay. And now the only thing you want to do is it doesn't matter really which side your highlight is on, but when you put your buttons on, you just want them to be on the same side. So I put my shade here on the right, and which means when I glue the other one on, I don't want my little highlight there on the left. Keep them both on the same side. Okay. Cutie patootie buttons. Okay, there we go. Love, love, love it. Now, going back to my trees. I need to make it look like it snowed. There's a little bit of snow on the edges of these trees. Okay, so I'll move some of this stuff out of my way. Wipe off my bottle. It's getting a little goopy. Okay, put my lid on. I like to put my lid back on so it doesn't get crazy. Okay, so now I'm going to dry brush. I'm going to dry brush the highlights on here. This is a 1/4 inch lunar blender made by Princeton. I love it because it's got stiff bristles and they're narrow, and it's easy for me to control. Okay, so you get paint in your brush, your dry brush, and then you work out lots of it onto your paper towel, because basically you're just kind of brushing on a little bit of the white on the edges of the trees. Bottom here. Okay. All right. Now, do this little one. See if I got enough paint in here to do this one, or I may have to reload with the white. You can probably hear how it's kind of scrapey on there with the white. Okay, there we go. Now it looks like we got a little bit of snow on these here trees. And if you want to make it a little thicker, like I'm looking at it going, yeah, I can make these a little bit more there. Go for it. Do what makes your heart happy. All right. I think we're ready to glue on our trees. I do. So I'm gonna get that tape out of the way. And this tree is going to sit there. So I can get my glue. And just put a bead of it on there. And I'm just kind of, trying to line up that tree with my snowdrift as best as I can. Oop, get back there. Where do you think you're going, Mr. Tree? Okay. Same thing for the baby tree. We're going to put that on there. Put you up here, this end of the snowdrift. All right. Now, I'm so happy right now. Okay, next thing we're going to glue on is the cardinal. Okay. And we're just going to set the cardinal right here on the side of the snowman and on the snowdrift. Okay, and then last but not least, do not forget about our super cute snowflakes. And I have, this is called Ice Crystal. It is an ultra fine glitter paste. It's the same manufacturer as the Glamour Dust, and they use the Glamour Dust in this paint. And I want to just glamourify our little snowflakes there. Just give them a little sparkle because I like it. Okay, so any brush will do. This is a number 10 Princeton flat shader, but like I said, any brush you got will do. And I am just going to add the glitter paint onto here on my snowflakes. Make them glitterified. If I had been thinking while I was painting them, I would have put Glamour Dust on them, but this is basically Glamour Dust clear paint. All right, rinse that out. So I want to make sure I get the glitter out of my brush. And I'm going to rinse this brush out because I think I'm done. And then we're going to put the snowflakes on, and then we've got a few dot embellishments to add. And this little piece will be done. Okay, I'm letting those dry, move you up, and I want to glue my base. Done and done. Yay. And I'm going to dry brush some white around this, around the edges of this guy. Looks like it maybe has a little frost on the base by doing this. Okay. And just like I did the trees, I'm just going to dry brush that around. Okay. Done, done, done. Stick that in there. All right, let's get these glued on. 3 little cute snowflakes to glue on. one. Two. And number 3. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna put you right there. Okay. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, make sure I don't have any wild paint on me. There we go. How fun is that? Super cute. Just love it. All right, everybody, that is it. We are done with Winter Wonderland. Oops. Anyways, you can set him in your base. And he will sit there for you and look super cute wherever you decide to put him. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that it is helpful. And, oh wait, I didn't do dots. Wow. See, I'm always forgetting the extra dots. All right, so these I'm gonna take a little bit smaller stylus bulb end, and I am gonna dot with white. And these are just fun accent dots. And these I'm just gonna do 3 in a row, so they'll kind of get smaller as they go. On the trees. And on his little scarf. Okay, on my little cardinal. I think that is it. Now we're done. Now we're done. We got those little accent dots on there. All right, everybody, enjoy, have fun painting yours. And if you still want to order this set, or if you just want to order the Winter Wonderland, it's $3.95 for the Winter Wonderland each. Or you can get the set with the Bucket of Flakes, which I've already painted, the Winter Wonderland, and the birds in the trees for $10. So you can get all 3 for $10, or they're $3.95 individually. All right, everybody. Thanks so much, and I will see you soon. Happy painting, everyone.